Yep, this is how we're rolling.
Cool. All right, so we are here with Cyrus Sutton in sunny Encinitas, kind of by Cardiff. We're at Seaside State Beach, and we're with him here at the beach, about to check out his van, take a little tour, and also cap it off talking a little bit about his film. So how long have you been, I guess, living this lifestyle?
11 years now.
Are you currently living out of your van?
Right now for the next 5 weeks while I'm on tour, but I have a place in Washington State now.
Cool. What inspired this, living this lifestyle? So you started this, you said 10 years ago?
Yeah, it was just a way for me to not pay rent and surf a lot and get work done and just have it all in one place.
So were you filming and living out of your van at the same time?
Yeah.
The whole time?
Yeah, I'm 34 now. I made my first surf film when I was 20, so I was traveling a lot, filming, and I just, leaving and only being home a few months of the year, it just became hard to justify paying rent in an apartment or something, so I moved into the van. I was able to save the money to buy my property up in Washington eventually and just, see some beautiful places and have fun.
Do you think cost-wise, you saved a lot by, because there's the extra cost of gas, of renovating the van, of buying the van itself, installing all the things that you need to live on the road. Do you think the cost was a lot more beneficial than staying, having a home base?
Yeah, it's been in later years that I've built my van out to be like a house and really comfortable. When I first got it, it was really basic, and I didn't travel a ton. I would just, when it got really hot, I would go up to the local mountains and edit and work from there, or, it got cold in the winters, I'd go out to the desert or go to the coast and surf, and so I wasn't burning gas all the time. I originally had a Ford Econoline van, which was a super gas guzzler. It was 12 miles to the gallon, so I was pretty cognizant of that and just tried to keep it simple and didn't spend a lot of money on making my rig look nice. And then, as I got more money later on, and I started investing and making it more of a home, and I cut the top off of that van and made a little cabin out of it with my friend's help. So it's just kind of been a progression.
Yeah. So what number van is this for you?
It's number 2. I got this a couple years ago. Yeah, it's a Sprinter van, a Freightliner, 2002. It gets twice as good a gas mileage as my old van, and it's twice as big.
Oh, really?
So when I built this one out, I knew I was spoiled from my old van of having it be pretty nice, so I knew I wanted to convert it. It took me about a year to decide what I wanted to do, but I tried to design it in a way to really maximize the use of space, so everything would fold away and it could be a nice wide open living space when I wanted it to be, or it could, everything could serve multiple functions.
Cool. So before we take a look at the inside, who is this right here?
Oh, this is
your friend.
This is Miley. This is my pup. She's my co-pilot here, and I'm holding her so she doesn't run and chase dogs and seagulls. We don't have leashes up in Washington, or at least not where I live. So I got to get one of those.
Cool. Well, let's start the tour.
Cool.
Let's start on this side.
Okay.
So you've got a lot going on here. You have this hammock, correct?
Yeah, the hammock.
Here?
Hammock's pretty fun. It's a hammock chair by Yellow Leaf Hammocks. I just bought it. I like what the company stands for. They treat their employees well. And I can either, it's like a lounge, so I can either face out if I'm in a nice spot, or I can face the wood stove if I'm cold. Put my feet up right above it. And
Did you have a hammock in your last van?
No, I didn't. And this is outfit for this one, and then also a large hammock that goes through the middle too. That I have a work desk and I can do work. Hammocks are great because they just fold up into nothing. Or if I had chairs, even the chairs that fold up, they're still pretty big. So yeah, try to utilize the hammock in the van as much as possible.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
Cool,
so I'll
cool.
put this away.
And let's check out your stove over here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many different kinds of stoves that you can get. I've seen like electric ones, like you could have kind of any kind of stove, I guess, installed in your van.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this one. This one's pretty unique looking. You don't see very many of these
Yeah,
in vans.
it's a wood stove. I did a lot of research about stoves, and you can really go two options: a propane stove or a wood stove. And cool thing about propane is it's really turnkey. You don't have to start the fire, but it's a wet heat, and basically wet heat where I live, it's already so wet, and we get about 60 inches of rain a year, and the wood can get moldy really quick, and fire really dries out the inside. So every time I'm lighting it, it just keeps everything dry, and dry heat rises, and it doesn't puddle on the floor, so I really feel it when I'm up on my bed.
So this pipe too right here,
Yeah.
that serves to let the smoke out of the top, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, it basically airflow, because it's hot air rises, so it pulls air. When I have it going, I close this, and I can control the burn based on how much air both space holds for the air to come in. And it's a double-walled insulated pellet pipe, 3-inch, and it goes out the top. I have an extension to draw hot air out, which is right here. This extension I fit on the top.
On the top of your van?
Yeah, when I'm not driving. And then when I drive, I have a cap, and I just put it away. But yeah, it's been a necessary addition for living in the Northwest. You know, if I lived in California still, I wouldn't do it. But going surfing and warming up after you surf, this becomes a pretty cold thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been nice. And then I designed this so I could just keep
Like
bits of wood in
storage for
here
wood.
and my little hatchet here. So yeah, it keeps everything in one spot.
Does this pipe get pretty hot?
It does. This whole thing gets hot. That's why I have flashing behind. I have flashing around here. You know, the double wall insulation, it doesn't allow it to get that hot, but it basically heats the place by radiating heat off of here and here. So you could boil
But
an egg.
definitely worth it for keeping warm.
Yeah, you could boil an egg right here, or I oftentimes will boil tea or something right here on that space.
So do you ever have people like hanging out in your van, light this guy up, and then tell them to steer clear of it and not touch it because it gets pretty hot?
Yeah, you can tell when you get pretty close that it's
like radiating
not to be
heat.
touched. Yeah.
Well, speaking of installation, how was it, or installation and installing the wood and layers that it needs to kind of keep out the cold?
Yeah.
How was it putting in the insulation for this van in particular?
Yeah. So we used an EPS foam, single foiled. Foiling goes on the outside, and it basically is a barrier that provides insulation and provides it allows it to retain heat and also not get too cold at night, allow my body heat to do more work. And then we lined it with cedar and redwood tongue and groove. It's kind of a bit of an extravagance. It was a bit of a project putting it in. We did the whole build out in 6 days. My friend Glenn Horn and I, who's been doing this stuff for 30 years. So he's an old kind of godfather of mine figure and mentor. And yeah, it's pretty nice. It's light. People when they look at the van, they wonder, how much weight I've added to it, and the whole thing is pretty light. We really tried to use the least amount of space or the least amount of material in building it.
Did you learn a lot from your first van as far as how to prep for this one and
Yeah.
what worked, what didn't?
Yeah, definitely. I lived in Japan growing up a bit, and I was really influenced by Japanese culture, how everything serves at least two functions. So I really tried to incorporate that into here and just simplify. My old van was nice, and it had a lot of floor storage compartments, drop-in storage, but it wasn't like a seamless walkthrough. And this van is so tall that I really wanted to create, a space I could walk through and really have it feel like a little cabin when I wasn't sleeping. And basically everything folds up when I'm not using it. Right now, obviously, I'm doing the Island Earth tour, so I have like 3,000 newspaper zines that we made for the tour, which is making the space pretty clogged up. But normally it's a pretty open
spacious van.
Yeah.
Cool. We have a question from Elizabeth Rose.
Okay.
I'm not too familiar with this heater, but she was asking, why not use one of those Dyson heaters? Do you know what that is?
I'm not familiar with the Dyson heater. There's two kinds of like little heaters you can buy. There's a Gas Buddy, which is a propane space heater, and there's an electrical space heater. I have solar, 200 watts of solar on the roof, but even that, the power draw of an electric heater is so great that I would have to have at least 800 watts and a lot of batteries that would take up a lot of room to run one of those consistently. And the propane becomes a problem if you don't have a proper propane installed, and maybe a Dyson is, I'm not familiar with what it is. You have to have a vent so that all the exhaust is going out. But again, electric is great, a lot of energy. Gas is okay, wet heat, and exhaust issues.
Cool. And Tobias has a couple questions. We'll get to your first one, Tobias, in a second. But the other one was, how's it been living in a van with a dog? When you do have her with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about the dog. Miley's can really chill, Let's show them.
This is the dog.
Let's show them you
Hey,
can
Miley.
Show them you can chill. Oh, she's getting excited now. Okay, but she's really she can hang out. She's not like gonna eat the van apart when I drive. She can go to sleep. So she's not very big. She's like 30 pounds.
She's a little fox.
So yeah, I think it's about the temperament of the dog and the size and all that stuff. It also, I think one of the downsides of having a dog is suburban camping. You have to take you have to take time out of your day to let her go run around and play with other dogs at a dog park or
get activity.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of extra maintenance, but well worth the company. Gets lonely in a van traveling around, so dogs are great for that. And she's a good hiking buddy and good guard dog, watches the van if I'm not there. This van has ventilation. If you're gonna have a dog in a van, you really need to make sure to keep the car cool and keep water and food out all the time. This has a Ventiline, which is a great company.
Let's check out the inside over here. So the ventilation you're talking about is right.
Yeah, it's right here, and I'll open it up and show you. But it opens up. It's got a high-powered fan, powered by the solar panels, and creates a good amount of airflow in here. It kind of creates a wind tunnel at the highest setting. So I make sure to do all that stuff when I leave her in here, and because it's a white van, it's pretty cool anyway. But if it's a hot day, or if I'm in the desert and I have to go, leave her inside, I definitely make sure it's nice.
And it's super spacious. You could pretty much stand up straight without hitting the top.
Yeah.
And this is what we were just looking at. Cool. So tell us a little bit about your cooking space.
Cooking space.
Do you cook a lot on the road?
I do. I try to. I just find cooking my own meals saves money. And I just feel healthier. If I've cooked for a week, 2 meals a day, I feel a lot healthier. And I use a pressure cooker. This is all my stuff in here. It's not too clean or anything, but the pressure cooker is great, and a laptop in there too.
Got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, drop-in storage is great. Having a counter doubles as a counter space and also storage. So this is propane. The propane canister is mounted to the outside, which is good for gas leaks and potential asphyxiation and explosion. This is just a propane burner.
What about this right here?
That's just flashing for the flame.
So it doesn't like hit the wood or anything?
Yeah, it doesn't hit the wood. I mean, in retrospect, it's never really even gotten hot, so I don't think I need it, but I just have it there for safety. When I was designing it, I thought I'd need it. This is a pump sink that basically is connected to a 5-gallon like that, and it drains into a 5-gallon bucket below, and it is also connected to a 5-gallon glass bottle that's under in here. I have 4 compartments in here that are storage: gas cans, food bucket, ball jars. You can see the corner of the 5-gallon.
Yeah, it seems like you have a lot of storage space. I mean, you have all these different compartments down here and in here, and it's all kind of like flush to the side of the van. You seem pretty savvy. Like, do you ever come across issues as far as storage?
You know, it's just enough. There's that, and then this is the bed, and all this entire compartment is hollow. And this is like a 2.5 foot tall by 7 foot long by about 1.5 foot wide, all storage. So that's just kind of a dog pile in there of clothes and wetsuits and fishing poles and all kinds of gear. And this is all underneath the bed, which drops down to murky bed. And I have bedding and pillows on this side. And then the storage compartment, as you can see, is under here.
Oh, nice.
With piano hinges.
There's just tons of like secret storage spots.
So, you know,
Cool.
it keeps everything along the walls. It kind of maximizes space. Allows me to get enough stuff in here, but it doesn't have too much storage. I see a lot of people outfitting their vans, and there's like a console. My old van was like this much higher throughout the whole thing, and it was all floor storage, and they have drawers coming out the back. And I just found that if I allow myself to have too much storage, I'm gonna end up hauling around more stuff and that I don't need.
Mm-hmm.
And this just allows me to kind of keep it simple and plan.
Keep it minimalist.
Yeah, plan before I leave, and I just take what I need and nothing I don't.
So, for, I guess, comparing this one to your last van, what features about this one do you especially like that maybe you didn't have as well done or have at all in your last van? Like, is there any improvements from the last one to this one that you're like, man, I'm really stoked that I did that, and it makes life a lot easier living on the road?
Yeah, I think the hammocks, these fairy lights, these copper wire lights, that basically, you know, kind of light it up really well without taking any power. I didn't do that in my last van. Obviously the wood stove has been a new adventure for me. Having a bed that folds up.
In the last van, did you not have a bed that folded up? Was it just...
Yeah, it folded out, like it minimized, kind of like a Westphalia, and it was on another level, and I cut the roof off and had a wood extension. It's deep in my Instagram feed if anybody wants to see that whole van. It was kind of a mad scientist or Frankenstein thing. But this one I like because it has a jump seat here.
Oh, nice.
So I take the water bottle out, and if somebody's riding with me or we're just chilling it, and I can put the hammock there, they can sit here, somebody can sit, can put the bed down, they can sit around there. So it's kind of more of a communal space. You can have people over for dinner.
So, and then that at the end has all of like your dinner supplies and food and spices and whatnot.
Yeah, those are all these fixtures are all teak, made of teak, super hard wood. It's all boating fixtures for boats, sailboats. So I just bought that. Those are pre-made online. They're really sturdy. What else? This one has solar too. My last van didn't have solar, and so now I just had a cooler that I got so tired of cleaning it out every time I'd stop. They get so funky, and you run out of ice. You got to keep buying ice and plastic bags and stuff. So I have a solar fridge there that keeps everything super cold. It can be used as a freezer or a fridge at the lowest setting.
Maybe can we go around and check it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Through the back doors. Get a different view of it. So this is where we're standing.
Yeah, so everything's filled with boxes. The center part's filled with boxes. I'm showing my film right now, so I'm on tour. And normally I'll have my longboard strung across the top.
Yeah, that was my next question. I mean, you're a surfer, so I assume you're traveling with a lot of surfboards and wetsuits and all that stuff, especially when it comes to being inside with lots of wood. As far as drying out your wetsuit and making sure that the water doesn't drip all over like the wood or the smell of the wetsuit when you get out of the water.
Yeah.
Where do you keep your boards and wetsuits? Where do you dry them? How do you?
Yeah. Well, for the wetsuit question, these van doors, they're open now, but they have hooks. So if I open it like this, I can,
oh, nice.
And they kind of want to always swing out, so I can tension it. I have a shower curtain here, and I hung wetsuits on the shower curtain.
So you'll fold out both these doors, this one over here and then that one, and have a curtain draped across?
Yeah, and like a solar shower. It's just one of those bag solar showers. It's super easy, and basically it strings from there to there, and I'll hang wetsuits out there. And it creates, the shower curtain creates this private space. It's about 3 feet wide that I can shower and just kind of get that stuff going. I usually carry around a bucket, like one of those gardening buckets that I'll leave my wetsuit in. Or I'll just throw my wetsuit up over my side view mirror, like a lot of surfers do. That's normally what I'll do.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen like the doors in the back kind of serve as a draping
Yeah, it's just an extra space that's outside, so if you need grips. And I got right here underneath the shortboard stacked vertically right here with my tripod. But underneath that is a bamboo grate that just can come down here and be a changing area so I don't get sandy feet. And then just a welcome mat in the back to catch dirt and dust and grind away at the bamboo floor.
So, kind of talking about camera equipment and that kind of stuff, does that get sketchy traveling on the road with a lot of, because camera equipment can be really expensive.
Yeah.
Especially traveling with wetsuits or wet boards and making sure that your camera equipment is safe, like when you're out in the water, or safe when you bring all of your wet gear back, making sure it doesn't get wet. How's it been traveling with a lot of camera equipment?
Yeah, I usually don't take my most expensive gear. I have kind of a DSLR kit, like a pretty lightweight kit that I'll take, and I have hooks up there that coats and stuff hang from, and I've just put them in a camera bag, and it just hangs as I drive. So that's where I keep it, and it's out of the elements there in the camera bags. And then just in terms of security, it's good to have a dog with she's pretty friendly, but having a dog that will at least bark and growl if somebody tries to get in always helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And then where's the furthest that you've taken your van?
This van I haven't taken it too far. I've driven to Canada to go surfing and stuff, which is not really that far from my house. I haven't been south of San Diego in this van, but my other van I drove down to mainland Mexico and back, and mostly the Rockies is the furthest east it's been. So yeah.
Cool. And then can we check out the inside of your? Is this a fridge right here?
Yeah. I haven't prepped this. I don't know what's in here. Might be a science experiment. Hopefully not. Just. So yeah, I got beets and eggs and all kinds of things in there.
Nice.
So, but it's got a good amount of space.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then you got the surfboards over here. You have outlets over here. You have veggies hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Really utilizing all the space that you have in your van.
Yeah,
Nice.
try to. I like things that hang because they kind of equalizes. And normally don't keep eggs in the freezer, but I was driving on some rough desert roads just yesterday, and they can rattle around, so I'll keep them in there. But eggs don't need to be refrigerated. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah. So.
Cool.
Let's see what else. Yeah, that's about it.
Quick question from also hello everyone, Katie Rodriguez here. We're going to be chatting about the film in just a second. Kind of catching up with your questions. If you have any more about the van, send them our way now. Make sure to ask them. One that Tobias had at the start was he was asking how you make money on the road, and if that's, I mean, no matter what, even if you are living kind of a cheaper lifestyle, you still have to have money for gas, money to eat.
Yeah.
How do you make money on the road?
Yeah, I get asked that a lot. I was lucky enough to find what I really love to do early in life. You know, my parents are teachers, so I don't come from a lot of money, and I knew that at a young age I had to do something. If I wanted to be creative, I had to do it really well. So from like 16 on, I was just obsessed with filmmaking and learning the craft and reading textbooks. And I made my first short film when I was 20 that was one of the best. It did really well that year, and I made a good amount of money. I just followed up and hustled. I mean, I think a lot of people are really interested in living in a van now.
There's definitely a huge culture surrounding it. I feel like it's kind of taken off in the past maybe like 10 years or so.
Yeah, and it's always been around in the surf community and stuff, but I think it's gotten really mainstream, and I think a lot of people are like, they're looking at it as a way to not work and a way to hang out, and I get that, and I think you can save money, but for me it's never been that. I mean, I've worked 60 to 80 hours a week in my 20s. I didn't even go to college, I just worked. And
you started filming at age 15.
Yeah.
That's pretty early on.
I picked up a camera when I was 18. I was just more obsessed with what went into it before that, and I made my first surf film 2 years after picking up my first camera. But I had it all in my head of what I wanted to do, and I think for me it's just been a way to work a lot and get peace and quiet. So I mean, I've spent so many hours just so basically I started that way, and then I started working in LA, doing production work, and then
living out of a van at the same time.
Yeah, the whole time. And
was it tough living in LA out of a van?
Yeah, it wasn't the glory days, you know. I mean, now it's kind of, I think it's nice that it's considered to be cool, but it's more nice that it's acceptable and accepted. Like, I couldn't get a date from like 18 to like 23 because I lived in a van. Like, it was a big problem, and my mom was pretty bummed that I lived in a van, and she was pretty worried about me. And I think that now that the acceptance is greater, so like
the lifestyle's more accepted by more people now.
Yeah, and to me it never made sense, because there's gyms, 24-hour fitnesses around, and you can use the restroom at any time, or Walmart, and you can be clean, and especially if you surf. And I think it helps that I was born without body odor, so I don't have to like go to the laundromat all the time.
Yeah.
I just need to like keep my shirts from having like food on them and stuff. But it's just, I don't know, it's pretty easy, I think, and I'm glad that it's gotten to be where it is. But I think, you know, making money it's a hustle, it's a grind, you know, and that, like, that's not, living in a van can lessen that, I really believe, because you're consuming less, you have less space to store stuff, you think about your purchases a lot more before you buy something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we still live in a world where, you know, making money is the thing to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of answers your question. Shannon, she was asking, do you have a bathroom? Use gyms for showering.
Yeah.
The bathroom.
Yeah, that's a question that a lot of women ask more than men, I think. I mean, like, basically pee bottles, you know. It's not too romantic, but pee bottles work good for men. I think there are solutions you can buy, like these packets, and buy these like little RV portable toilets that I know people use.
Yeah.
But
I've seen a few of those.
I just tend to like go to chain fast food restaurants. I mean, there's a lot that are open, and if I'm in suburbia or at 24-hour Fitness, or
just be like if you're on a road trip.
Yeah, and if
like
I'm
stopping off to use the bathroom somewhere.
Yeah, totally. And if I'm like camping in the woods or whatever, I just got a shovel and
Yeah.
So
you're just camping.
Yeah.
Cool. And question from Christian: where are good places to hide your keys and stay under the radar when you surf? So key stashing.
Yeah.
When you're leaving the van. Well,
yeah.
I guess maybe you don't want to tell us where you stash your keys to the world, but.
Oh yeah. Well, I wish I had a good. I wish I had a good situation figured out. I'm more. I've spent a lot of time in Japan, and in Japan, everybody has these like key sleeves that go underneath their wetsuit. Mm-hmm. But I've just found like an old string from a boot, from like a shoestring, mm-hmm. made into a necklace, and having your key just like a key necklace, and then having that underneath your wetsuit. It doesn't bother me. It just sits right on my chest cavity, and I feel like that's a really easy way of keeping your key on you. If I don't have that for some reason, I'll like find a rock on the beach that I'll remember, which is kind of sketchy. Having a hide a key somewhere on your van is always good in case it gets lost. But I would recommend just like a shoestring necklace with a key, single key.
There you go, Christian. There's your answer for where to stash your key. And then last one before we chat about your film. How do you decide where you want to go next? Or do you decide where you want to go next? Is it half governed by work and filming, and then half kind of just places you want to check out on the road?
There was a time in my life when I had that problem, but now I'm so busy that it's just kind of like, okay.
Your next destination is where you have to go.
Yeah, or I think if I do have a chance, I do have a few months a year that I try to take off and chill out, and it's about climate. It's about, if it's winter time, I'm going to try to go to somewhere warm mm-hmm. and dry. If it's summer, I'm going to try to be somewhere that's cool and has water around. So I'm kind of nomadic in that way, and I've done bucket list trips where I just really wanted to go see an area and trip out. I'll do that too, but usually it's around. I try to go at the right time of year.
Cool. Well, thanks guys for your questions. We're gonna chat a little bit about the film right now. So, tell us a little bit about the reason why you're here. You're starting off your West Coast tour for Island Earth,
yeah.
and that's your most recent film that's being released tonight, right? Tonight is the first showing of it.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what it's about, a little background of the story, what inspired it.
Yeah, so Island Earth is a film about agriculture in Hawaii and where our food comes from, and kind of in the current political climate where a lot of people feel like they're not represented correctly. It's a film about how we can take back our power and organize at a community level to, have a world that we want to leave for our kids. So it's a big topic. I wanted to make a film that hasn't been like a surf or outdoor film for a long time, and I've spent 3 years in Hawaii. I was really inspired by the activism that's been going on there and the culture there. It's only been colonized for 150 years, so there's still this amazing native knowledge on how to live off the land in a sustainable way, and I'm just exploring some wisdoms that we could potentially take from the past to to like help where we are now. And I'm also interviewing scientists and doctors and trying to understand the current problems now. So I try to not be idealistic with it, and just it's been a really great learning experience for me, which films are. They're a great way for me to kind of learn about the world and pick a subject and have doors open because I'm making a film.
How long did it take you to make this one in particular?
Yeah, it's been 3 years.
3 years total.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's and then we're touring it now. This is a box of zines, and we're giving these out. I did these with the Ecology Center, and it's just like a take-home kind of manual for topics discussed in the film.
This is what it looks like.
The back's got the movie poster.
Guys
Saika
may
did
be
that.
familiar with this. It's, all over the interweb and cyber world.
Yeah,
so
we have toured it in Australia and Hawaii for the past 2 months, and then just got back to the West Coast, and we're going to do a 27-stop tour from starting tonight in San Diego and going all the way up to British Columbia.
cool.
So
Exciting stuff. If you guys want to check out more about the film, we have an article up on grindtv.com. It just got released today. Check out our website to find more about it. There's a trailer on there. There's a quick interview with Cyrus. And if you guys are in Encinitas, it's at La Paloma tonight. But we'll be continuing up the West Coast and have tons of show stops. So thank you so much for giving us a tour of your van and chatting a little bit about your film. Stoked to see it. And thanks you guys for tuning in.
thank you.